Hey, what's up guys, Mashine here, come back with a brand new video for you guys. Today we're going to be going over my personal predictions along with the obvious and the not so obvious on when we might be seeing CSGO's next big update. Now this is probably going to be coming in the form of either an operation or a big source 2 update. We're going to be talking about everything specifically to do with that. Let's hop on into it. First up here, we gotta start off with the obvious, and that's probably going to be around CSGO's 10th year anniversary. Now, CSGO came out in August 21st in 2012. This is very important because this would actually be not a terrible time if they wanted to release something big. Generally speaking, Valve has released their big updates in the winter months in North America, as that's when their player numbers are up, and that's also when people are spending significantly more time on the internet because they're not going outside, as it obviously is winter. Therefore, if they wanted to release this at the end of summer, coming in at August 21st or roughly around that time period, it actually wouldn't be a terrible idea to do so on a timeline basis. It also would line up with the idea of Operation Riptide moving up a little bit, as we saw Operation Riptide release exactly 11 months before this, and the previous operation before Riptide was Operation Broken Fang, and that released in the very beginning of December, meaning from December to Operation Riptide it was about 10.5 months, and if we're looking at an operation releasing on the 10-year anniversary, it would be 11 months, lining up with that time period. Now that is a little reachy because it's not super specific, and it's also making a lot of assumptions, but it is a possibility. Now, speaking on the CSGO's 10-year anniversary, they've already announced that they're going to be running a sticker competition where you can enter in your stickers for the past 10 years of CSGO, things that have been a defining moment. Now, I don't think specifically having that sticker capsule out there is the main thing that's reducing people's interest, or rather reliability, that we're going to see a big update. During Operation Riptide, we actually saw a sticker capsule be released in the Battlefield sticker capsule. Now, this was most likely a paid promotion by Battlefield, and CSGO has got no reason not to throw a sticker capsule in there that they're getting paid for, especially since people are going to be opening it no matter what. But I do still think that it's a possibility on the table that we could be receiving that sticker capsule along with some other things. It would be very interesting if we see a sticker capsule that for the first time is actually included into the operation drops. Say for 2 stars you could go ahead and purchase the sticker capsule. It would be a completely new dynamic. The main thing that's reducing people's interest, or rather reliability once again, is most likely going to be the recoil case. Now, the fact that the recoil case has come out right now is not a very good sign for people that thought there was going to be an operation or a big update in the near future. Now, the recoil case coming out on July 1st is the closest time between a new case coming out and an operation that we've seen in the past couple years, provided an operation does come out on that date, meaning that it's probably pretty unlikely we'd see a big update and a case released that close together. Now, the shortest time period we've seen from a case releasing to an actual operation releasing was with Broken Fang. Now, this is very important because we saw the Fracture case released in the beginning of August and Operation Broken Fang released at the beginning of December. If we take over that same logic with that same shortest time period, with the recoil case coming out at the beginning of July, the earliest we could see reasonably the next operation is the beginning of November or maybe into October. Now, this is a very different time period than what we're looking at right now. This is 3 months past what we're looking at right now. When we talk about the not so obvious, there's also the idea that it's not so fun. If we stick with the idea that Source 2 is actually going to come out at the end of August on that 10-year anniversary, odds are we would not see an operation for a significant amount of time, in my opinion. We've just seen that Valve is starting to change over some of the maps right now, and in my opinion, there's a very high possibility that we would not see an operation till at least we're talking about October, November, December, in my opinion. The turnaround time would just be too great, as this would be the biggest update in CSGO history, and to kind of rush an operation after that would just seem unnecessary and probably turn out even lower quality than Riptide, if that's possible. With that being said, there is also the possibility that they could have been working very hard and for some reason they have an operation planned for Source 2. Now, this would be very good, but I just don't really see this happening logically. Source 2 is the biggest update CSGO is ever going to receive, in my opinion, and the fact that they would have an operation lined up after it seems like way too much workload for Valve employees. Obviously, Valve employees are going to be having to work on Source 2 fixes for the next couple months once Source 2 comes out, all the way up to potentially a year, which is going to be an extremely long time. And the fact that you could say that they would have half their team dedicated to an operation just really does not make too much sense in the context, in my opinion. One interesting thing to note is Valve has not yet released their International 11 Dota 2 Battle Pass yet, which is also just another thing on their plate that they have to do in the upcoming month, which just, in my opinion, makes the odds that they'd have an operation lined up with Source 2 even less likely. Now, this video today kind of stemmed off one of my past videos when I talked about what you should be doing right when an update releases, and I figured I might as well talk about when I might think an update's going to release. Now, I don't specifically think we're probably going to be getting anything on August 21st at this point, because it just seems very unlikely after the case releasing so very close. I do still think that there's a high likelihood we're going to be receiving an operation probably around October, at least at this point, although that is a little disappointing to hear that it's that far out. That does make sense, and we can't just keep on moving up the operations and having short periods where there's nothing in between. We've had quite a long period here, and as long as we've got the supplemental content like we're seeing now with Antwerp and other majors, I think CSGO is going to be a much better situation and a much better place moving forward. One thing that you might want to be on the lookout for, though, is we are planning to get the Rio major, at least it's going to start at the end of October. Therefore, it's going to be really interesting to see how Valve fits in their operation, because they have set the precedent that we're going to be receiving yearly operations, but they've got this big major in the way. This is IEM Rio, which is probably going to be the most watched major ever in history, in my opinion. The fact that we've got a Brazilian major where we're pretty much guaranteed to see 2 Brazilian teams at least go back, it's going to be very interesting because we're going to be seeing so many new people brought into the player base. Not only those that are watching for those Brazilian teams, but also I think they're going to be much more interested in the game overall moving forward and paying attention to every single team like most of us do. Esports definitely has a high potential moving forward. We see League of Legends that has a 4 million peak in viewership, and I think honestly that the next CSGO major is something that could really compete with that. The reason I bring this up is 2 main things. One, Valve is probably going to be wanting an ongoing operation when this major hits. They're going to be having tons of new players like we saw with Stockholm. They had an operation ongoing for that, which was Riptide, because they wanted all these new people coming into the game to have something interesting and fun to try out. If you came into a game and it hadn't received any game actual updates and it was still the same boring game that you played 3 years ago, you probably wouldn't be spending too much time on it. But now that we've seen these really interesting updates and people are excited to hop into the game, it works out much better for Valve because they have a sustainable player base and their original player base is happy, but at the same time we've also got this new player base that comes in and is able to learn the game while having a significant amount of fun doing so. With all that being said, I just could not imagine we're going to be seeing something as big as this brand new CSGO major, first ever time in Brazil, and they're going to let that opportunity just slip away because they don't want to put in the extra work. Obviously they could, but I just don't think that's going to happen. But as always guys, I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.